Hello, I'm Steve Henderson, Festival Director for Manchester Animation Festival, and today we're celebrating the incredible success of K-Pop Demon Hunters with an in conversation with the directors. Now, it's been a massive year for animation, and the biggest film of the year is no doubt K-Pop Demon Hunters, sweeping the Annie Awards recently. So we're absolutely delighted to be joined by both directors, Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans, for a chat about Netflix's most successful film to date. The film has received Academy Award nominations for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song for Golden. And if that song hasn't been stuck in your head, playing on repeat since the first time you heard it, the film is available to watch on Netflix now. So be sure to check it out if you haven't already, or even if you have. The directors couldn't make it to MAF, but they're here now for an interview. We talk about how the idea of the film came together in just 20 minutes, the creative journey behind blending K-pop, action and animation, and what the future might hold, including what you might expect from a potential sequel. So let's dive in with an in conversation with K-Pop Demon Hunters directors Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans. I wonder if you could take us though right back to the very beginning, when it came from, really.
Well, it was kind of put together in, I don't know, 20 minutes, really. It started with me. I was asked by the producer of Wish Dragon, Aaron Warner, who produced Chris's movie. And he really enjoyed that experience so much of working with a director, writer, on a project that was more international focused. And so he was at Sony with the film and they were just wrapping up and he said, "Do you have anything like that for me?" Because we had been kind of talking about working together and finding something that I could direct and he could produce. And I said, sure, even though I didn't have any ideas. But, you know, as a creator, you just always have some ideas, like not like a full concept, but just ideas of things that you want to do and that's inspiring you. And so my husband and I, who's also a director, writer tech, we met at DreamWorks, and we just drove around the neighborhood and just came up with a pitch, and it was just putting together a few things that I had been mulling over. So I knew I wanted to do something culturally Korean, and I was exploring like the idea of using Korean demons, and then I knew that I wanted to do kind of like a group of kind of just kind of like really cool, like badass women who were also just really real in the way that I hadn't seen women represented, and very funny and not scared to be funny. And so put those together and got this demon hunter idea, and that just felt like it wasn't enough of a concept. And so just try to find ways to make it more Korean, really. And went down the list of Korean stuff and just landed on K-pop. And it just, that combination just felt really original and exciting, and obviously automatically made it a musical. So that was really fun. And so it opened up this opportunity to kind of do a non-traditional musical. Because I'm not a huge fan of musicals. I mean, I love Disney musicals and all of that growing up, but with this movie, I just wanted to see something new. And so everything, the way that I would approach it was different, and something I hadn't seen was kind of what I wanted to do. And luckily, Chris wanted to do the same. So yeah, I think, you know, with this movie, we just tried a bunch of things, and it's like a collection of things that we both like, and we both happen to almost like the same thing. It's funny because we're now been traveling together for a while, and anytime there's like a set menu option or you have to pick options, we keep picking the same foods. Like even on the plane, it's like we pick the same food. So it just goes to show you that we have the same taste in almost everything.
Amazing. And at what point did it get your attention then, Chris? Was it literally the words of the title? I mean, it's enough for anyone, really, isn't it? But at what stage was the concept in when it arrived with you, and what was your reaction?
It was, yeah, Aaron introduced me to it and said I should sit down with Maggie and hear about it. And I think you were about a year and a half into developing it. And
A year.
yeah, so like when I sat down with Maggie, she already had this really clear vision for the type of female character she wanted to do, and this amazing demonology, and this, I could also tell kind of the tone she wanted, which is very right up my alley. And then obviously the concept, which is seemingly so easy but so brilliant. And I kind of pitched her immediately. I'm a musician my whole life, so I was like, I think we could make this story, among other things, about the power of music, which sounds really cheesy, but it's true. And fortunately, Maggie is like, she's a first-gen K-pop stan, so it's decades of living that experience. You know what it means to you. And so I think mashing those things up together, it started to invite so many things, and that led us to the mythology and trying to ground in this idea of Korean traditions of song and dance as a ward against evil. And then we had to visualize the power of music and make up the Honmun, and that gave kind of a legacy to the girls that felt really cool and added some weight to everything. And it was, above all, it was just an effort to like dramatize and visualize what we believed in, which was like, this is such a powerful thing, and the way it connects you and the way it, you know, brings good vibes to human beings. So that was kind of all within the first draft of the script we wrote.
Yep.
I think that folded together really nicely and didn't change much. I mean, it just got deeper and we had lots of stuff to figure out, but yeah, that felt like the foundation.
Yeah, we didn't like throw out a big chunk of things.
Mm-mm.
We just kind of added and refined again and tweaked and balanced.
And sort of like almost connecting things in ways that are really hard to do all at once. You kind of have to like lay the tracks and then realize, dude, if we just say a thing here to mirror the thing in the third act, it'll feel, you know, more purposeful. And not having to tear up a whole act or a whole half of your movie and start from scratch really helps you do that.
When you spend years working on something, as closely as you have been with the project, and you know, not seeing the light of day for many years, and then you release the project, you are obviously expecting a reaction, whether that being a good reaction or a bad reaction. But how have you reacted to this reaction? Because it's been absolutely amazing. You can't move for K-pop Demon Hunters. It's overtaken so many examples of previous successes from, you know, the likes of Disney and DreamWorks and other places like that. What has been? Have there been any parts of this kind of journey of success that have kind of stuck with you individually?
You know, one of the best things is just being reached out by really like our animation heroes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like James Baxter, Chris Sanders, and
John Musker,
and just expressing such love for the movie and just so much support. And because it's so hard to get any movie made, but to get something made that is so specific and has such a unique point of view that really there's no comparables that you could point to with this. And you're always asked for that when you first pitch a film. And also my friend Mike Mitchell, who I've also worked with, is a really great director, asking me, how did you get away with this? Which is really fun. And I think it's and just director friends just reaching out and saying, like, I feel so hopeful for our industry and animation, and you guys have changed the game, and I feel so inspired once again. And just hearing that from our colleagues is just like above everything else, just because making these movies is really hard, and it was a lot of hard work, and like you say, like we didn't see any light. It was 3 years, almost 3 years of no weekends with our families and working evenings, and it took that much effort and work, and it really like took everything out of us, like all the skills that we've accumulated through our 20 plus years, like individually experience in this industry, and so for people to see that and recognize how hard it was, and be inspired by our work is like, because you want to. We were so inspired by like just even watching Spider-Verse while we're making this movie and being like, oh gosh, how do we do this? This is
it's like a chain reaction that keeps the industry excited and doing stuff, and an inspiration domino effect.
So just be able to add to that feels really great.
Fantastic. I'm sure Spider-Verse are looking over at you guys now. I think that's where it's gone. You're taking it in turns over at Sony Pictures.
They're using our tools and making them, I'm sure, making them infinitely better and being
let's see the K-pop variant of Spider-Man, I think, is going to be. I mean, obviously, nobody can predict. Everyone tries to come up with a formula for success, don't they? And no one could really have predicted, Korean folklore and K-pop and action and animation would come together to do this. I wonder, obviously, there's been this fantastic shift in recent years of people, the Western world, being more and more open to embracing, Eastern concepts and culture. I wonder what has been holding us back for so long. Do you have any thoughts on this, or any ideas?
I think it's just democratized now. Somebody like Maggie has the opportunity to ground something in a Korean story, and the audience has the ability to watch it because it's good, and without any need to, have a special service or get us, order a DVD. They can just push play because they heard it was a great story, and then you find out very quickly that humans don't really care that much about the origins. They just want a great story and great characters, and often for us, like so much of the authenticity of the film, it's so amazing to have that at your disposal. It makes everything so much more interesting. You get unique palettes, you get unique mythology, you get unique everything, which otherwise you have to make up, which is like, in some ways, less fun than actually getting to pull from real stuff. So I think we're going to enter, I don't know, I'm excited for an era where it's just the best. It's the same with K-pop. K-pop exploded once there was streaming because it was good and people could find it in Brazil and Lagos or wherever.
I mean, I feel like just you have access to the world now with the internet and just with the streaming platforms. But even before the streamers, like you could have more easy accessibility to like K-dramas that you weren't able to watch before. And when you watch those, they're so culturally Korean. Like there are very specific things about it. I remember just even going to my first K-pop concert. I mean, it was a BTS concert, but they would do, those interstitials when they would go off and do costume changes. And there's like, one of the BTS guys with like an orange and just like, and I was like, oh no, they're doing the very Korean thing in front of all these non-Korean people. And I almost felt like, because that's my reaction, because that's how
Korean.
yes, that's how I had to enjoy K-pop when I was a kid. I had to hide it from my non-Korean friends because they thought it was cheesy or like cringe, and so I had to hide all that stuff and enjoy it alone. But it was out there for everybody to enjoy, and my first reaction was, oh no, but everybody was enjoying it like I was, and I was surprised, and I was like, wow, we can just be Korean now. And it's great. And even with K-drama, and I love that they haven't changed. They're exactly how they've always been, even with so many global eyes on it. Because it could easily be like, oh well, maybe they'll like it more this way or that. But I just love how they're just unapologetically Korean and really leaning into that. And I hope to see more of that,
I'm sure you've answered this question a million times today. I'm not going to ask it. Everyone's asking about the sequel. The main question that they're going to be asking is when, as if you hold the calendar. But I wonder, with a film packed with so much character and lore and, so many intriguing aspects. I mean, the first 9 minutes alone of the film, just stick it stick it in the Louvre. It's absolutely incredible. You fit so much into it, but there's so much aspects of the film. Are there many that you wish to go and explore, given the opportunity? Are there other aspects of the universe that you've created that you want to explore more and more of?
Yeah.
Yeah, but making this film, I wasn't like thinking about a sequel. Like,
Yeah.
were you? I don't
Mm-mm.
think so. I don't think we were like, oh, we need to do a sequel because we need to explain this,
No.
but there are definitely stories that we don't fully explain, but it's explained enough that everybody understands the backstories and enough to love the characters, which
Yeah.
I think is really great. Um, but it does feel like we created kind of a universe or something potential for that, potential to be that. So yeah, I think it'll be great to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously the fans want it. So and that's how K-pop works. You have to just basically do what the fans want.
Amazing. There's no escaping that the fans want it. I'm certain of that. But like I say, even the introduction, I could have spent an hour and a half in that introduction. It was absolutely incredible.
Real
show,
hard.
yeah, show us more from the 1920s and 40s. That would be amazing. You touched on it earlier on, obviously, that kind of the ideas of friendship and authenticity and relatability in these characters as well. But there's also that kind of uh, the technological side of this film, where you mentioned earlier on the toolkits that you created to push that comedy and to push that action and things like that. Can you tell me about the nature of story driving these changes in animation and vice versa?
Yeah, the story and the characters and the type of characters that we wanted to show just naturally. I mean, even before that, we were like we wanted it to. We were very inspired by anime like Sailor Moon and just those exaggerated faces and we didn't want to just resort to them for comedy, but luckily our characters are very silly at moments and it needed that kind of help of those exaggerated expressions. And so it felt like it was just good to just naturally lean into those. So it didn't, and that's everything that we wanted to do in the movie. We wanted it to be motivated by story and character, and not just do it as just for the sake of doing it. And so it worked out really well, where we were able to find that or use that language and use it in a way where it just felt natural to the characters and not like just as a trope.
Yeah, and I think it's this, and credit to the incredible animation team at ImageWorks, that the movements of the characters from like truly existential, like Mira is bearing her soul on stage in song to her best friends, and then 15 seconds later, there's popcorn coming out of her eyes as she's killing Abside. You know what I mean? Like, and that it's like a kind of I don't know, a range that they need to move into and out of that stuff without you ever thinking twice about the shapes or the continuity, or that doesn't feel like roomy anymore.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a real accomplishment that our character designers and the animators really killed it.
And we wanted to give that full range of the characters in that first scene where we meet them on the plane.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the silliness of the food and super exaggerated, like unhinged jaw with like a kimbap being shoved in her mouth, and then a chibi look where Zoe turns into a little chibi with a little, and then just a normal, their norm.
Yeah.
And then once we go into a music video mode, we see the K-pop versions of them with the beauty shots and everything. So just giving the audience the full spectrum so that we're like, this is what you're up for, guys. Like, this is the journey.
Yeah, even that. I remember when we finally finished that sequence and they land on stage, and then Rumi has the bridge of her song, which is like her solo moment, which is at that point the final tonal checkbox in the movie of like absolutely sincere pop emotion, you know.
the
But that was one of the-
physicality that's needed to like
Oh.
belt out that note.
Yeah.
Like we needed that moment and we animated that twice because the first time we did it, it didn't feel as emotional, like her like really striving to hit that note. And we needed that. I mean, that's the whole point of the movie is music just making you feel butterflies and the hormone emerging from that. So that was a very important moment.
And their crowd work in that too.
Yeah.
Incredible crowd work and camera to make it all feel like a real concert. Yeah.
Amazing. And the final question is relating to the music. Obviously, making this film, it's a collaborative process. How do you feel when the music tracks land on your desk or in your inbox, or what are the reactions when you first heard Golden, or for example, or how did that jigsaw fit together?
It was a very intensive collaboration. All the songs we would spend hours and days preparing the launch document and a bunch of references for sonic inspiration and storytelling, and these really dense documents about what the songs needed to do story-wise. And then you hear demos and sometimes it happens early and you're like, oh my gosh, I remember Your Idol came in.
We're like, this is it.
Like
this
the
is
second
great.
time we heard it, we're like, oh my God. And other ones like Golden, you're on like version 8, 9, 10. But what happens is you have a mental list of what the story is asking out of the songs. And then you push play, like with Golden, and I forgot that list. And it just overtook me. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. And it was just doing the thing that we kind of planned for it to do, but it already hiding the fact that it was doing that, which is the whole magic of a pop song.
But the other demos didn't, and that's why we turned them down, because they weren't giving us the butterflies that we needed to feel.
Amazing. You said you're a massive K-pop fan, Maggie, and here you are as a producer on these things. That must have been something of a dream come true as well.
Yeah, total dream. I mean, to get to work with Teddy Park, who is like a K-pop star, but also just a legendary producer, is just such a dream.
Thanks for joining us for this fantastic interview with K-Pop Demon Hunters directors Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans. The film is available on Netflix now, and you can find out more about Manchester Animation Festival on our website, manchesteranimationfestival.co.uk. Until the next time, thanks so much for joining us.